What's going on, Bandy? I'm your host, Marissa, and here to welcome you back to The Scoop. With so much happening in entertainment, I'm stoked to share with you what's in store on today's episode. If you haven't heard, the AMAs are airing November 24th. And would it truly be an award show without some controversy? Lizzo, who has been nominated for 3 awards, currently finds herself being sued by a Postmates driver for $75,000. The lawsuit stems from September, when Lizzo aggressively tweeted a photo of her Postmates driver, Tiffany Wells, claiming that she stole her order from Luke's Lobster, which turned out to be a misunderstanding. After receiving various threats from Lizzo's followers and fearing for her safety, Wells is now suing Lizzo for libel, infliction of emotional distress, and false invasion of privacy. Lizzo said it herself, truth hurts. And when the news of her impulsive actions and impending lawsuit spreads, will it affect her AMA nominations? Only time will tell. Now, while this news might seem unexpected for Lizzo, is it really a surprise that there's more Taylor drama? I'm telling you, she should have just stayed in Nashville with her country music and curly hair, and we'd all be better off for it. More now on this latest scandal, sending you now to Peyton.
Thanks, Marissa. I've got a bunch of news that I've prepared and can hardly wait to share with you all on this segment of the Big Three. So without further ado, let's dive right into the number 3 spot for the biggest headlines in popular entertainment news. There has been much controversy surrounding the upcoming American Music Awards and Taylor Swift, who says that she is currently being prevented from performing her old songs due to tyrannical control exhibited by talent agent Scooter Braun and his business partner Scott Borchetta. Taylor's first 6 albums were recorded under and subsequently owned by a former music label Big Machine, which she left late last year. This past June, however, Braun purchased the label along with the rights to all of Swift's songs. And Taylor doesn't quite like Braun because back when she was feuding with Kanye, Scooter seemingly tried to take Kanye's side and make jokes at Taylor's expense with Justin Bieber, and well, we could go all day dissecting that story, but you probably get the gist. With the scheduled performance looming, Taylor actually turned to Twitter to shed some light on the developing story. In the tweet, Taylor says, "I've been planning to perform a medley of my hits throughout the decade on the show. Scott Borchetta and Scooter Braun have now said that I'm not allowed to perform my old songs on television because they claim that would be re-recording my music before I'm allowed to next year. Please let Scott and Scooter know how you feel about this. I'm hoping that maybe other artists can talk some sense into the men who are exercising tyrannical control over someone who just wants to play the music she wrote." Sounds heated, right? Only time will tell to see how this plays out between Taylor, Scott, and Scooter, but the AMAs will air on November 24th on ABC at 8 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. The second story of this week's Big Three is definitely no joke, as the latest film to enter the billion-dollar club is none other than Warner Brothers' Joker, starring Joaquin Phoenix. The gritty story of the famous Batman villain became the first R-rated film in history to reach $1 billion at the worldwide box office. With a relatively small budget of only $62 million, the milestone also signifies Joker as one of the most successful films in cinematic history. Joker is the 7th movie to cross the billion-dollar mark this year and remains the only entry that is not a Disney or Marvel movie. Only time will tell to see whether or not Joker's widespread success will warrant a sequel. However, all eyes are definitely on the film as we get closer to award season. Maybe Joker will also be the first billion-dollar movie to receive major award nominations. If you want to find out what's all the buzz surrounding the Joker, it's still currently in movie theaters playing in select throughout the country. Now, the number 1 story is simultaneously one of the sexiest yet surprisingly controversial stories from this past week. If you haven't heard, People magazine announced this year's Sexiest Man Alive to be no other than the singer, songwriter, producer, and Chrissy Teigen's husband, John Legend. John was welcomed into the elite club by former Sexiest Man Alive winners, including his voice castmate Blake Shelton, Idris Elba, Hugh Jackman, and Ryan Reynolds. But all of their congratulatory messages were nothing in comparison to the flurry of tweets Chrissy posted when the news broke last week. Now, I won't be able to read some of her tweets since they are just a smidge NSWF, but Chrissy tweeted, "I cannot wait for people to get mad about John being the sexiest man alive. It's my new Starbucks holiday cup." And she also tweeted, "The sexiest man alive just made me a ham sandwich." In the special magazine issue, John talks about everything from his EGOT status to raising his 2 children, Luna and Miles, and all the things that make his and Chrissy Teigen's relationship still great. People magazine's Sexiest Man Alive issue hits newsstands on November 25th, so be sure to pick up your copy then. Well, that's all I got for this week's Big Three, so I'm going to throw it back over to you, Marissa.
Wow. John Legend. Now that is a piece of eye candy. And shouldn't we all treat ourselves to some dessert since Vandy Dining clearly provides us with such nutritious and satisfying meals? Yeah, no, I would be lying if I said I wasn't counting down the days until Thanksgiving where I can actually try new sides and not worry about wasting a swipe. And if you're a big fan of side like I am, there's no better holiday than Thanksgiving to load your plate with stuffing, sweet potato pie, and cranberry sauce. And once the last of that delectable turkey gets claimed and Uncle Joe starts up with his annual political debate and tensions start to rise and suddenly you're not so sure if knives are a good idea to have at the table, I usually just sneak off and fall into a deep, relaxing food coma. But of course, not before setting a midnight alarm so that I'll be awake and ready to go off into the madness of what we Americans call Black Friday. What's on your shopping list this year? Headphones for the little bro? Golf clubs for dad? Maybe a muzzle for Uncle Joe? Well, in any case, if you're looking for the latest games out on the market, we're heading to Game Time with Gabby so that you can make sure your Black Friday shopping list is loaded with the essentials.
In gaming news today, Anthem is being completely overhauled by BioWare, a subsidiary game studio of EA. This news was announced last week after months of rumors that the game would be altogether abandoned due to poor sales figures and terrible reviews. The game Anthem, an online first-person shooter, was released in February of this year to very little critical acclaim, having been billed as a competitor to the Destiny series. A few higher-ups at BioWare quit following its release and fan backlash, and EA was suspiciously silent about the matter. However, we now have confirmation from BioWare that the entire game, from loot to quests to the multiplayer system, is being redone. The new project is known as Anthem Next, and it is not yet known if it will be released in a series of updates or as a completely new title.
Thanks so much, Gabby, for updating us on all the latest in gaming. As sure as I am that Mom would also love some new video games, why not instead get her an experience that you two can share together and make some wholesome memories? If you're looking for some suggestions about where to take her, stay tuned because Quentin is here to present all the upcoming performances, concerts, and professional sports games happening in Nashville these next few weeks.
Thanks, Marissa. Christmas is on its way, and if you want to see the classic A Christmas Carol, it will be being performed at the Tennessee Performing Arts Center all throughout December, beginning on December 1st. It's at a variety of times, so if you check online, you can probably find a time you can go see it. But if you're looking for something a little bit more raw, Monday Night Raw will be at the Bridgestone Arena on December 2nd. Alongside that, the Bridgestone Arena is also hosting the Nashville Predators game against the New Jersey Devils on December 7th. And also, on December 7th, Opry at the Ryman will be happening. So if you can't make it all the way out to the Grand Ole Opry, you've only got to go to the Ryman Auditorium. Thanks for checking out my calendar. Back to you, Marissa.
Thanks, Quentin, for filling us in. All of these events happen before winter break, so hopefully I'll have time in between studying for finals to grab some tickets and hit the town for a good show. As we're starting to wrap up on this week's episode of The Scoop, I want to wish you all a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy your break, whether that's spending time with family, going to your high school Thanksgiving football game, or pushing through those crazy Black Friday shoppers. Closing off now, this has been Marissa, and it's always a pleasure to be your host of The Scoop. See you in 2 weeks.